Alki, long time no speak.
Been ages, hasn't it? How you doing?
I'm really well, and
Excellent.
I think you saw it before me. Which show did you go to?
I went to the Adelaide show, which was on the 18th.
Oh, the Adelaide show.
Yeah.
Is it a good venue down there at Adelaide?
It is actually, yeah. It's an entertainment centre, so it's pretty big.
So do you happen to know, is it as big as like Sydney and Melbourne, for example?
I don't know. No, I don't even know off the top of my head. I don't even know how many people it holds, to be honest. But
yeah.
It's. I don't think it's as big as the Sydney one. I think that I've been to the Sydney Entertainment Centre a couple of times, and
that's all right. There'll be someone out there who can write to me. What's the capacity of the Adelaide Centre where Kylie performed Attention to? It'd be interesting to know. Did you have good seats?
We went VIP, so we were kind of like on the floor, sort of close. Like we weren't close because we didn't do the standing, we didn't do the general admin. But we kind of had our seats, and we were very happy with our seats.
Well, come on. What's a VIP? I mean, I'm just a working schmo. I can't afford VIP. You have to fill me in, Alki. What do you get for a VIP package?
Well, I was a bit disappointed actually with the whole VIP experience this time around, because normally when you get like a lanyard, you get a little bit of merch that is not available to everybody else, so it makes you feel a little bit special. You get a seat that's close. So you've got your general admin, which is obviously your standing, which is right up against the stage, and then you've got your VIP, which is sort of a little bit back, so you have a seat if you don't want to stand the whole time, even though I did, which was fun because I was wearing some high-heeled boots at the time. So by the end of the night, my feet were very, very sore. But
sorry, all you get for the VIP package really is a good seat.
You get a good seat, and then you're meant to get like some merch.
But you didn't.
I didn't this time around. No, I didn't, because normally when you check in, they go, "Oh, you're VIP. Go to a spot. Oh, here, you're VIP. Here's your little VIP gift." And they didn't do it this time around. And we kind of got there. We went straight to the merch table because I wanted to check out the merch. I got some merchandise that I paid for. Like I got a couple of t-shirts. I got the tote bag. And then we went and found our seat. And then because of where our seat was, we were in the middle of the row. So by the time you sit down, you don't want to really get up and get out of your seat again. And then we noticed probably, I reckon, 10 or 15 minutes before Kylie came on, some people sat in front of us and they had the lanyards, and I was like, oh.
So why did you miss out on your lanyard?
Because they didn't direct us to the right spot.
Oh, okay. So it was an organisational thing.
Yeah. Because they should have told us, oh, you're VIP. You got to go to a check-in spot at the front of the.
Well, look, Kylie's team, if you're listening, Alki here paid. How much did you pay for a VIP?
I paid $500 per ticket.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I've messaged them, my darling. I've messaged them. I've emailed them. I'm still waiting.
Really? So who do you email specifically? Frontier Touring?
I did that, and I did a bit of Googling. Well, my partner did, and there was actually a Google search that came up saying, if you didn't get your Kylie merchandise for Attention, this is the email address. So I'm thinking a lot of people missed out.
Yeah.
I don't think.
But you didn't even get an acknowledgement at this stage of your email?
No, just the generic, Web, thank you for your email,
okay.
But, we're busy at the moment. There's a delay, and, I'm like, oh.
Well, I'm not going to let this rest, Alki. I will not let it rest. Okay. I won't even sleep until you get your whatever it is.
I appreciate that.
Hopefully there's a nice pen in there too.
There's meant to be like a little gift. Yeah, there's like a little Kylie tote bag, a little key ring.
Yeah.
And something else. I can't remember what, but there's something else as well.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's not the greatest stuff, and especially for $500 a pop.
Yeah.
You can't let it go.
No. Oh, I won't.
So in terms of, we all know that the stage is a runway, and then the center stage in the middle of the whereabouts were you sort of placed?
I was sort of towards the end of that first stage. So you got the runway bit that comes out in like a T kind of section. I was sort of, if you imagine that T section, I was about 4 rows away from that.
Oh, fantastic. So you had great seats. You were a VIP. You were one of the people that I was looking at the top of your heads thinking, how dare you all be down there?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. And you were looking back up at us going, quiet, you trash. Okay.
Quiet at the back, please. Come on.
Now, before we go any further, I'm dying to find out what you thought of the show. It sounds like you took your partner, right?
I did, yeah. We went, yes.
Yeah. But I'm trying to be a game show host. We're going to play a little game very briefly called Acceptable or not acceptable?
Oh, okay.
Here we go, Alki. You ready for this?
Sure.
Is it acceptable or not acceptable to wear shorts to a Kylie concert?
Not acceptable.
Good man. You're the first person who's given me that answer. Tell us why. Why shouldn't you wear shorts to a Kylie show?
I don't know. I think it's about the atmosphere. It's about looking good for Kylie, isn't it?
Exactly
You're
right.
not going to the pub. You're not going to the local theatre or the footy show. You're going to see a Kylie Minogue concert.
Alki, you and I, high fives.
High fives.
I had Aaron. You'll hear him on the same show as you, and Aaron was saying they were designer shorts. I'm like, I don't care if you can see your legs. That's wrong.
It gives off. It doesn't. It's like, what are you wearing with the shorts? You're probably wearing like flip flops or songs or something. It's like, no.
God knows he'd probably say they were Gucci flip flops. Anyway, acceptable or not acceptable, Alki? Should people go to the bar throughout the show?
Not when she's playing, no. Not acceptable.
Well, she's playing the whole time.
Yeah, not acceptable, no.
Not acceptable. Did you do it?
No, I didn't, no.
Good man, good man.
No,
because I had a girl gang to my left, and they were having a great time, and I adored them. But my God, if they didn't go to the bar about 16 times throughout the show, not all together, but different little subgroups. Yeah. Oh God, it was annoying. Can we just slip through, sweetheart?
Yeah.
It's like, God, shut up, ladies, leave me alone. Yes. All right, acceptable or not acceptable, Alki? No Danny Minogue on stage anywhere at any Australian show, even though she attended one in Melbourne.
I was not acceptable. I was a bit upset by that, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, not acceptable, Danny.
She was at the Melbourne show. She was on Instagram saying she was there.
Yep.
And when Locomotion was on, she was dancing to it right up close. And I was like, she could have got up and done a song with it. Like, I don't know. Like, it would have been something special for the Melbourne concert. Like, she was in Melbourne. She did 3 concerts. Have a little Danny. Why not?
That's it. And regular listener Matthew, he sent us a voicemail and he said he was parked there right next to the Minogue clan, and half the time he spent looking at the Minogue clan and half the time at the stage. It was a little extra show for him. Acceptable? Acceptable or not acceptable? No songs from Let's Get To It, Impossible Princess, X, Golden, or Kiss Me Once.
Yeah, not acceptable. She did a little bit of Impossible Princess. She did a little bit of Too Far. Like, one of the crowd at the Adelaide show, when she was doing the request bit, they were like...
Really?
Yeah, she sang like a little bit of Too Far. I was like, oh, she even did someone's birthday and she did a bit of Wild Roses, where the Wild Roses grow. She's like about a minute and a bit for her birthday.
Yeah.
So, and I know since then, or she did at one point, she did it again. At one point.
Yeah, I didn't know she did. So there's 2 songs that I can't find on YouTube. I didn't know she did Too Far as an audience request.
Only very briefly, like really, like maybe a minute or so. It wasn't
Jesus, that'd be hard to sing. Hard to sing a cappella too. And there's also apparently in Perth she did Enjoy Yourself. I can't find that clip either.
Oh, did she? Oh, I didn't know that. That would have been cool.
I've been searching like a mongrel on YouTube. Final acceptable or not acceptable? Jazzy P appearing at a London show.
Acceptable? Yeah.
You'd be excited about that?
Oh, I wouldn't mind that. Why not? Yeah.
Sounds awesome. I'm hoping for that very much. I mean, look, it's by the way, it's not a rumor, folks. It's one that if it is a rumor, I started it.
You started it? Fair enough.
There's absolutely no evidence that it's happening. Thank you for playing, Alki.
My pleasure, not a problem.
Hi, this isn't Kylie Minogue, and I love listening to Time to Talk.
It's over to you now, my friend. I want to know all about your experience at the show. How was it? What stood out for you? What did you love? Did you have any quibbles? And what got you most excited?
Oh, you know what? I think it went for like 2.5 hours. And I was like, oh, I'm going to stand up. It's Kylie. I'll stand up for the first song. And then I'm wearing my heel boots. I'm going to sit down. I only sat down when everyone else around me, when they got to like the quieter, slower songs, sat down. I was up the whole night dancing, boogieing. I loved it from the moment it opened up to lights, camera, action. And I'm like, and I didn't want to know what was going to happen. I didn't want to know how it opened. But Facebook and Instagram, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
I
Don't
kind of.
blame other people. You looked at it. You
Oh, I
shouldn't have.
looked. I know it was hard. It was Kylie. I couldn't help it. Anywho, um,
You know, you can hear I'm bitter. Down there in the VIP section, you possibly could have got a laser in the eyeball too.
absolutely, I could have. Didn't think of that. I must be more cautious next time. I
But it
did
was a
not.
brilliant opening, though, wasn't it?
It was. It was
Yeah.
like it was all lasers. I did read. Funnily enough, I did read. I think the day before I went, someone was complaining that the set looked a bit cheap.
Hmm.
That they didn't, that it wasn't an extravaganza like Aphrodite or like the Golden Tour or things like that. It was just a plain set with dancers and these big screens. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound like Carly, maybe, you know, but I don't think they realized the effect was all the lighting, all the lasers, all the screens. It was sort of that to get you immersed in a different way. It wasn't about
Very
immerse.
intentional, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And I'm interested in your opinion on this. Despite the fact that there wasn't all the people keep using the expression bells and whistles, which I'm starting to hate, because was it your impression though that it was still an immersive experience?
oh, 100%. I kind of went in there excited because it was Kylie, but once again, it was just this experience. I was immersed. You know what I mean? To me, it did have the bells and whistles. You know what I mean?
It
Because
did,
the
yes.
lights, the confetti, the screens themselves, so you could not only see her, but see the imagery that she was trying to project through different songs and things like that. And her dances as well, like her dances, the way they had the band, it was all thought of well, I thought. I thought it wasn't like, oh, let's just put on a show. We're going to just sit in the middle and play us some songs. It was like, no, we've got these songs. They're a bit dancier. They're a little bit more like out there. And I remember I read I think it was on Facebook, Kylie did a brief interview and it was commented about what kind of vibe are you trying to give this to her? And she said, well, we're not going on a horse ride like we did in Aphrodite. I'm not taking you on a country joyride like you did in the Golden Tour. She goes, I don't want to use the word club, but it's like going to a big Kylie disco and just having a ball, and everybody gets what they want out of it.
Yeah, I
You
think she used
know,
the word sleek, and I think that was a great word to use because it was a very high end, polished
it
show.
was.
What else stood out for you besides the opening?
When she did Confide in Me, I mean, I love that song anyway,
Yeah,
but the way she did that and her voice, like I'm like her voice always amazes me. Like she always used to. I remember because I've been following Kylie since I was like 10 or something, 10 or 12. And,
it's only
people,
about 10 years ago. Then,
yeah, only a few years, exactly. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. um, and I remember people saying, oh, they used to use that word singing budgie and they used to say, oh, she can't sing live and this and that and other. And I've said to them, over the years, I've said to people that say, oh, you went to a Kylie concert, oh my God. And I'm like, but have you actually been to one? And I look at you and they go, well, no. I'm like, well, then you don't know what she sounds like live. Because
exactly.
when she did Confide in Me, for me personally, I was just standing there in awe of the way she hits those notes. And you kind of go, oh, on a CD or whatever record, you kind of think, oh, she's going to just do it over and over until she gets it right. But she's doing it the first time at that moment, and you think, wow. When she did that acoustic version of Say Something, I
Yeah,
was just like, whoa.
yeah.
I'm like, she should release this. This should have been like a B-side or something. Like, this is just like, this was, this made that song completely different.
She did release the acoustic version of "Say Something."
Oh, did she? I must
Yeah,
have missed that. On a single or?
I think it was something through Apple. It was a little. In fact, the Troy Sivan wrote a song called "Cool."
Yeah.
And she sung "Cool." It was in that same little what I would call EP. There was
Oh,
"Say
I must
Something,"
investigate. Oh.
maybe
Because I
"Magic."
looked, I looked the other day and I couldn't see it, but maybe I'll
Yeah,
try
because you
again.
can't find it on Spotify, I've noticed, but you can
No.
find it on Apple Music, I
Oh, well, I'm
think.
an Apple Music kind of person, so I'll
Oh, there
do
you
it
go.
again. I'll do it
Investigate
again.
that for us. I could be
I
proven
will.
wrong, but she definitely released an acoustic. Well, I
Oh,
don't know about
because
released, but it was out there in the world. Yeah,
it
yeah.
was okay. Because yeah, I felt like it was the first time I heard it, and I was just like, it brought total new life to this. A song that was when it first came out, I was like, okay, this isn't bad, but then it sort of like grew on you,
Yeah.
and then when she did that acoustic version, it was like, oh wow,
Now, did you love the disco medley?
I did, yes.
Yeah. Did
Yeah,
she
I
walk
did.
quite close to you? And I mean, because again, the bitter Tim is going to point out you were in the VIP section. I assume you got to be close to our idol.
I was I would have loved to have been closer because it did happen rather quickly. I'm not gonna lie. It was like 1 minute she was on stage,
Hmm.
and then I noticed that she was going downstage, and I'm like, oh, there she is, and she would have been about probably 3 people away from me.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, she's just there, you know. But once
Come back, Kylie, come
pretty much, I was
back.
like, come back, where are you going? And then my partner goes, oh, she's gone on that stage. I'm like, what stage? There's no stage. And then she pops up on this little round stage.
What, you
Prob-
didn't see that stage in your little snobby area? You couldn't see the round thing there?
I couldn't, darling. No, no. It was a little bit further back, so I didn't take notice
Well,
of
good.
it.
I hope you had a bad view. That's horrible of me. I
Rude.
was close.
Rude.
I had a good eye line to the middle stage. I spent the whole 15 minutes before the show investigating. Is there some sort of contraption underneath that? How's she going
Yeah.
to get to that? Because I couldn't work out how
How
would
she
she
gonna
get
get
from
that?
there to
Yeah.
there. Anyway, she showed
Just
us how
walked.
she
She just
locomotioned her
walked.
way
She
there.
locomotioned her way. And the fact
Mm,
that she did locomotion as well, I'm like, yay. You know, because there
you
was a
like
while
that?
there. Well, there was a while there where she wouldn't do locomotion for whatever reason. She had her issues.
No,
And
she's done locomotion at most of the
she
tours.
has, yeah, but I think I remember she saying, I think it was Intimate Alive, I think it was, back in 98, I think that was. Someone shouted out, do locomotion. This was like the Adelaide show.
Yeah,
And she was like, oh, not now. You know, and she kind of like dismissed it, like she didn't do it.
really. But
Yeah.
she did do it at
But
the Intimate and Live
she ended up doing it, I think, later on.
in the
I think
green shimmy. Okay,
yeah,
but not
yeah,
not in
she
the
yeah,
earlier shows. Okay,
maybe
okay.
yeah, it was interesting because I remember she did. I remember when they released like the live CD and it was on there, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
she did do it, you know.
Yeah, she did it at mine. In fact, for the what was it, Kylie 25, she did the tweet to unlock, I think it was, whatever it was called. She gave us a present of all the locomotions throughout the years from all the concerts. Did you see that one?
No, what I haven't.
You're going to
Oh
love
no,
that, Alki. Go and look up locomotion compilation. It's
okay.
official. Kylie's team released it as a present to the fans during K25.
On iTunes or just like on a
It's a video on YouTube.
oh, it's a video on YouTube, even better.
Yeah,
All right, I
so
will.
it shows the evolution of locomotion from the original video. Even I think the very second clip is going from the Australian version to the English version, and then tour by tour, all of them, including
Oh,
the one that I love the best is from Showgirl. I love
oh yeah,
that one.
Showgirls. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. That one.
Oh, maybe I'm not thinking of Showgirl. I think I'm thinking of Fever. Anyway, either way, it's a great watch. You're going to love it. I've hijacked your conversation. What else did you love about the show?
I love when she performed the new song from Tension 2, Good As Gone.
Yes, thank you for
Um,
saying that.
I I love that song when I first heard it, and I mean, I love the whole Tension project, the whole Tension era. To be honest, there's not a song that I go, oh really? Like I kind of listen to the albums and go, I like that. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And when she did Good As Gone, I think for me, it kind of gave it this new life.
What's your partner's name, Alki?
James,
James. How did James find it?
he loved it.
Yeah.
He is a Kylie fan. Not probably to the extent of moi.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up buying the ticket for his birthday because
Is that like when Homer Simpson bought Marge the bowling ball?
well,
Sorry,
yes and no.
that's a
It was
Simpsons reference.
it is a
Was that a
Simpson, and
gift for
I
you or
appreciate.
a gift for James?
No, it was a gift for him because I said at the time he wanted to get tickets. When the tickets first came out, he was like, "I'm going to get you a ticket. We're going to go. It's going to be wonderful." And I was like, "Oh, sweet," you know. And then he did like the pre-release. Oh, I couldn't get it. And then he tried like the Telstra pre-release,
Yeah.
couldn't get it.
Oh.
And we were like, oh, okay, you know. And obviously trying to get seats, you know, together. And we couldn't do the standing because the general admin was only standing only, and we didn't want to stand for 2.5 hours or 3 hours, depending on how long you get there. Because he has a bad back and everything. And I'm like, I get that, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm old, I'm not 100% either. So I'm like, that's cool, you know. And then when the actual release came out, he was like logged on. I think they got released here at like I think it was 1 in the afternoon or something stupid, and he was pin poised ready to go. And he messaged me at work and goes, I missed out. I couldn't do it. He goes, I could get a ticket if we wanted to sit apart, but to sit together, it would have been a case of sitting really far away, and he didn't want to. The entertainment center here, the stairs are really steep if you sit on the back balconies,
Mm-hmm.
and they're a bugger to get up and down. Trust me. And then I think I got paid that week. And yay for Afterpay. Gotta love Afterpay.
Yeah.
Um, and it was like I was like, well, let's just see what's available. And I just put, best available. I need 2 tickets, and it came up with them, and I was like, Afterpay. That's what Afterpay is for, and that's how I got them. To be honest, it wasn't.
Wow.
It
Okay.
was just like,
That's not your standard story for VIP tickets. Usually, that you first in best dress, but you waited and you were patient, and they came your way.
yeah. Well, I think a lot of
Right.
people went general admin. Like I have a few friends that went, and they're like, oh, we got our Kylie tickets, and we're general admin, and we're gonna wait for 5 hours in line so we can be right at the front. And I'm like, that's
Yeah.
nice. Like I used to do that when I was in my 20s and 30s, and now I'm like, I can't be bothered.
Yeah, I
Like,
remember the days when we used to sleep in our sleeping bags sometimes, even for
yeah,
Intimate and Live. We had to queue.
yeah, that's it.
Alfie, tell me this very briefly. The crowd, was it a diverse crowd? What I noticed was I was really surprised by there was young and old and older women and the LG community, all of that. What was your crowd like in Adelaide?
Agree, exactly the same. It was a mixture of young, old, and everything in between. I was actually quite, and I've noticed that even when the last concert I went to of Kylie's was the Golden tour. And even then, I remember I was sitting, where I was. I didn't get VIP then. It was just a normal. It was a good ticket, but I was down on the ground. I think I was still probably about 10 rows from the front, and I sat next to this elderly. I wouldn't say elderly. I think they would have been in their
50s.
50s, 60s, around they were. And the lady turned to me and she goes, "Oh, is this your first Kylie concert?" And I went, "No." And she
Oh,
was like,
look, she almost deserved an elbow in the face asking that of you.
"I know, right?" I'm like, "Excuse me, hello." Anyway, I
And,
didn't.
and what did you wear? Did you wear a Kylie t-shirt by any chance?
Actually, no. I wore my black boots. So I had a bit of a heel happening. I wore black chinos. I wore just a Versace t-shirt that I had got in Kuala Lumpur. We had just flown back from Kuala Lumpur that morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that, and I also had bought this black sparkly jacket, which was absolutely fabulous. And it was cooler weather when we came back to Adelaide. Like it was only like 23, 24 degrees.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't. I normally I do. Normally I buy the t-shirt and I put the t-shirt on straight away, and I'm like, look at me, look at me. But this time I was like, no, I had a whole look. So I didn't go that far, but
So look, I've pestered you enough, but I am curious. When you buy that merch, you buy a bit of a t-shirt or two. Do you ever wear them again?
yes,
You do.
all the time. Yeah,
Where do you wear them to an important conference at work, or where do you wear them?
all the time. No, no, I wear them out and about. Like I got to go to the shop, so I just pop on a t-shirt. Even if I'm just lounging around the house, I'm like, oh, I'll just put on Kylie.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
the funny thing is I bought 2 t-shirts and I had asked for large, and you buy them and you check them and you're like, oh, that looks good. And then I had been sick, so I wasn't, soon after Kylie, I fell sick, so I didn't really look at anything. And then when I was well enough, I'm like, oh, I want to wear a t-shirt. And one of them was medium, and I'm like, oh, really? Am I meant to like cut off an arm, or how am I meant to do this? But luckily for me, they were a decent size. Like they weren't like the Asian medium. They were actually a decent. So, as long as I don't breathe too much, it's fine. But no, I wear them all the time. Like, I
Yeah.
know some people buy them and go, I put it in my closet. And I'm just like, but you just spent like, and the funny thing is, a lot of people, speaking of merchandise, a lot of people have said how expensive it is.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
$60, $70. But most concerts these days, I can't think the last time I've paid less than $50 for a t-shirt.
Hey, was there an official tour program this time?
No, there wasn't. No, there
Well,
wasn't. And
I was just thinking. I've spoken to about. I was there myself, and I've spoken to many, many, many people since who've been at the Australian League of a Tour, and not one of them have mentioned that. So,
no tour program at all.
is this the first time, maybe, that she's never had a program? Did Golden have a program?
You know what? I'm just trying to think. I
I
think
don't.
it
I
did.
don't. Yeah, maybe.
Actually, no, I don't think it did, come to think of it.
What's the go? See, Madonna's last concert celebration tour didn't have one either. I don't
No, I
know.
heard that as well. See,
Maybe
I
they're
love a good
becoming.
program. I love a good program because
Of course.
it's that little. It's not a T-shirt or something, but it's something that you can look back and go, "Oh, I remember these dances. I remember."
And that's why it popped into my mind, Alki, because a T-shirt, if you do what you do, which is a great thing, they'll wear out. But the program lasts a lifetime.
I do. I mean, having said that, I still have my Kylie T-shirt from the live and intimate shows.
Do you? I can't
I
remember
do.
what were those T-shirts.
It was just Kylie in like glitter letters, in glitter writing, basically.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
You know,
like
so
like the
and it had
same
like
writing that was over the DVD and the
yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then it
yeah.
had like the tour dates on the back. So it
Yes.
was like it was that, but I wore it, and back then it was like 96, 90, how old, 96, 97, I think she was that tour from memory.
Oh, it was 98, actually.
98, you're right, actually. 98,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. But look, it sounds like you had a great time. Final question, Alki.
Mm.
Would you recommend the Tension Tour, and where does it rate against her other tours?
Absolutely. I think Kylie is like fun, is like wine. She gets better and better with age. She looks like she's having a good time, which makes you have a good time automatically. Like it's not like she's there going, "Oh, here we go, song number 5 of the night." Was it better than her last tour? I think so because she keeps getting better. She aims for that perfection. She goes, "All right, last time we did this, what can we do to make it even better?" And I think the fact that this tour there was no theme, so it's not a cowboy theme. We're not going to Olympus and Aphrodite, and we're not going to fly on a horse, and we're not going to have a showgirl experience. This is just you, a Kylie fan, coming to a concert, and me just giving a banger of a concert. Like when she did, what do I have to do? The audience just leapt and screamed. Like I yelled like a little girl when I heard the start off of that song because I'm like, because it was unexpected. It was like, oh wow, she's doing this song.
Yeah,
And yes, she did Better Let the Devil and she did, but you kind of expect that because it's that song. But there's other ones to be like, even to put Confide in Me, yes, it was a number 1 hit and it did so well, but it was from, way back when, and then you think, wow, like it's come a long way, but no, I would recommend it, if she probably do it again here and came back for like an encore round, I'd be like, let's go.
Oh, absolutely.
You
I
know,
wish I'd gone the second night. I really do, but I couldn't suffer another night in the Bates Motel where I was staying.
oh,
Otherwise,
fair enough.
I really would have done it. Hey, Alki, it's been lovely talking to you. Please pass on my hello to James, and
I
I'm
will,
so
yes.
glad he
Thank you.
loved the show.
Yes.
And yeah, look, we're going to talk again soon because I reckon we're
Love
going to
it.
have new music before too long.
Oh, absolutely. I think so too.
Thanks, Alki.
My pleasure. Thank you. Have a good one.
Being Mardi Gras ready, all in the details.
When did you start getting ready today?
Last night, actually.
We all get dressed. We're here from about 7 a.m. in the morning building the float together. This year I've been lucky enough to work with 3 amazing visionaries that have put together 3 floats.
In Newtown, families and pollies getting into the rainbow spirit at the new Inner West Pride Centre.
So having somewhere that is grounded for queer people to visit and have important meetings, yada yada, all the rest, it's very important.
And we've been at the very centre of all of the struggles for civil rights, and Mardi Gras is a reminder that we always have to ensure equality in our community.
You're here tonight to do something slightly different, to tell us about your experience in the Sydney Mardi Gras 2025, which sounds like it was extremely joyous, but there was a bit of an incident as well. So you're going to take us through all of that. It's just a little jaunt through the Mardi Gras, really, right?
Thanks for having me back. On the way I was actually performing, not in the parade, but in the community show, which opens the after party at midnight. Anyway, on the way to the venue, I actually found a guy who had overdosed on heroin. I gave him a life-saving shot. Yeah, but I had Narcan in my bag, so if anybody, go and get yourself some Narcan, have it in all your bags. It's very easy to save a life.
What have you got to do with this? Put it in their tongue or inject them or what?
You inject them in their leg, or you can give them a nasal spray, and it wakes them up.
We've just launched straight into this. So first, I was going to go through the prep and how you got selected. Can we actually go back, Will? Because there are some listeners from overseas who don't know about the Sydney Mardi Gras. They've probably heard of it. How would you describe the Sydney Mardi Gras to people who have never been?
Okay, all right, for the internationals and for the young ones alike. So Sydney Mardi Gras started in the 1970s as a protest started by CAMP, which was Civilians Against Moral Persecution. Basically, it was the gay rights movement after Stonewall here in Australia. We didn't want to have a protest, we wanted it to be fun, we wanted it to be a party. So then it was decided by the founding members that it was to be a street party or a Mardi Gras. It has grown exponentially every year. We were the only country to have an event during COVID times, even. It was moved off the street to a stadium for safety, but we still had it nonetheless. It is an enduring part of the queer community and queer culture here in Australia, as well as internationally. It's good to see that we are still keeping it going because it's very easy for it to stop. So that's basically, it is a pride parade on roids for Australia.
Absolutely. It's all through. They close down streets and it's just a whole heap of fun. It's still to a degree a protest about different social issues, but for the people overseas who come to it, they're definitely coming more for the party and for the what should we call it? The acceptance that's really on show at this parade. I've only ever passed it once, and it was completely by accident. Can you imagine my shock, Will, walking through Sydney, not knowing it was Mardi Gras night, and wondering why everyone was in wigs and speedos
There is so much glitter and everything alike. If you name it, it is on the main street, and it is prime time as well. We broadcast it simultaneously on ABC, which is our local our PBS, like our public broadcaster system. And it is, again, anything, not everything goes, but most things go, and it's opened every year by the Darks on Bikes, and now this year they were joined by the Boys on Bikes. The Darks on Bikes were instrumental when the first parade happened. They helped clear the streets of any people that were threatening, as well as kept the peace with the police at the end as well.
Back in the day, they were the protectors, weren't they? Really?
Absolutely they were. And the girls are, God love them. And thanks to them, they still to this day protect us, and I'm very grateful for them.
So, Will, I know this isn't your first time, but basically you're a dancer in the Mardi Gras. Is that right?
Correct. So we audition in January to be in either the parade or in the community show at the after party. So I've done it for the past 10 years. I did it when I first moved to Sydney just as a way to meet people, and some people who I've met through dancing at this every year I'm still very, very close with, and I only see them once a year, but it's like a family reunion every year. And I'm very, very lucky to be a part of it. And
you were dancing this year. I think you'd had a little break maybe, but tell us about the costume this year. Dare I ask what the costume was this year?
The costume, like all costumes, it was teeny tiny, and it was bright pink with like glow in the dark makeup, and it was a very, very, very cool show. I will send you a link, and you can put it in the description if you want.
We'd love to do that. And sorry, you're not dancing along, any celebrities or anything like that. It's what is it? Is it like you? I don't really understand what it is. Just a dance performance or what?
Yeah, it's just a dance performance, but it is all community members. So it is, anyone can audition, and not everyone has dance experience that gets in. It's just, it shows the diversity. We have straight boys, straight girls. We have gay boys, gay girls, all in between. Everyone's welcome, and I highly recommend it.
Will, all the colours of the rainbow.
Colours of the rainbow, as well as the little new bits at the end. Like, everyone is welcome.
What was the choreography, and what were you dancing to? Like what track?
It was a really well done mashup, and which I'm blanking on the guy who actually did it because he was fantastic. Our choreographer Michael Corbett, who has done it the past 3 years, is like this guy. I call him Drill Sergeant. He is so good at what he does, and he makes even people who don't have that much experience look amazing, which is fantastic. And he's very, very patient, and but when he wants it done, and he wants it done to that level that he knows you can do it, there is no sitting back, and he's fantastic. And I have nothing but respect for this guy.
And ultimately, where do you perform it? Are you on the actual Oxford Street, or is it in a theatre, or what? Where is it?
So at the conclusion of the parade, it walks all the way from Oxford Street all the way to Fox Studios, or the Entertainment Quarter, as we call it here in Sydney.
Wow, and that's a long parade.
It is. It
I
goes
grew
to
up
the
down
RHA.
there, Will. So I used to have to do that walk before I could drive. It's a long bloody walk.
It can be, especially in heels. I'll say that.
Were you in heels?
No, not this year. But when I first did the parade, yes, I was, and that
Jesus.
was a mistake. And my big old hooves. But we go to the RHA, or the Royal Hall of Industries, which is it's an old exhibition centre, and now it's heritage listed, and where we do Mardi Gras end of year after party, after Mardi Gras after party, and and so there's a main stage in there, and that's where we were.
And how long did you perform for?
So it was just a 6-minute dance. It's just a little fun, community shout out for us, and just to get the vibe going and keep everyone excited.
How
And
wonderful.
when you come off stage, there are people in the audience who recognize your face, and they actually want to talk to you because of it, which is really, really nice.
Oh, that's right. You become a little mini celebrity for the night. I love that.
For the night, yeah.
And this isn't the show, though. I know I'm harking on it, and I don't mean to diminish what you did by any means by harking on it, but I'm just not familiar with the Mardi Gras. Is it the same after party where if there was a celebrity act, they pop up, or is it a totally
Yes.
different?
So
It is.
This year we had Troye Sivan play.
So this was the Troye Sivan one. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. They started closing off all the areas outside, and we're like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And then all of a sudden, this little twink comes on stage and starts doing his thing, and he was great, actually.
Oh, he's a super talent. A super
Yes, he is.
talent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, the act at the Mardi Gras is nearly always a very closely guarded secret. You don't know until they hit the stage.
Yeah, that's true. There's usually, like last year we had a headline act of Adam Lambert, which was great, and he was an absolute gentleman. I had the chance to run into him backstage real quickly as I was rushing off stage, dying for the toilet, and I bumped into him, which was very interesting.
So, who was at this year's Mardi Gras? Obviously, Troye Sivan was the surprise act at the after party, I think you're calling it.
Yep.
And but I heard that Sam Smith might have been there this year. Is that true?
Sam Smith was there, I believe, as a spectator, as a punter. Like he didn't perform, but he was walking around, I believe. I didn't see him after I was done with the show. What I was performing in, I decided that tonight was going to be my night, just to have a good time, kick back, and just dance my night away, which is what I did.
Did you stay in that costume?
No, God, no. That has to be given back. That doesn't belong to us.
Given back?
Yes, because it belongs to the Sydney Mardi Gras.
Well, someone might wear your Speedos again later.
I would hope they don't have to, but yes, it could very well be.
Sorry, Will. It's a very unfamiliar world to me. Caring is sharing, I guess, but I'm on an education here.
I hope they wash them before they do, though.
So tell me, what the rumor was, because Kylie was performing on around the same time, March 1. It was the same night, actually, that she might pop up there. I thought it was a long shot myself, but were there rumors swirling around backstage?
Every year, there is a rumor that she comes. Every freaking year. And you know what? Like, if she does, the woman has an incredible work ethic and works very hard when she does her tours. So it's hard to believe she would be there unless she was paid. And frankly, after she's done a show, I would recommend she'd probably be like, nah, I'm going to stay in. I'm tired.
Now, Will, I might have grown up in Sydney, but I left before I could drive. And as someone who returned to Sydney for this Sydney show, all I kept thinking was, if Kylie's meant to get from Kudos Bank Arena down to, you said, the Fox Studios in eastern suburbs, as if no one could do it unless you got a chopper.
Not going to happen. Yep, and they probably would get her a chopper, but it wouldn't happen.
Actually, yeah.
And
that's quite an entrance, actually, isn't it?
It would be, but could you just imagine all the limp wrists just going, "Oh my God, she's here!" It'd just be.
And she could just have one of those rope ladders come down, and she could shimmy on down. Yeah,
she would Tom Cruise it, like the thing around her waist just flying down face first, like Lady Gaga at the Super Bowl. Just
actually,
like
it's not unlike how she came out. I was at the Tension tour, and it's not unlike how she came down on the big swing, which is the cover of Tension 2.
Of course.
So, she could have done that from a chopper, actually. Gee, you and I put in some thought into this. She should have really consulted with both of us.
Exactly. Kylie, if you're listening, doll, we deserve commission. Thanks.
Absolutely. So it It sounds like you had a great night, and Will, you've been through a lot. So symbolically, this night, I know I happened to catch one of your videos where you were getting a fake tan before. By the way, your world is so different from mine. You were heading to Vaucluse to get a fake tan. Not something I've ever done in my life. But I just thought, good on you. You really, it's not just the night; it's the prep and it's the joy of getting ready for it and the community of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was a dancer when I was younger and had toured and had done all that stuff, and I loved doing it. Unfortunately, you get to a certain age and your body just won't do what it used to do, and that's just how it is. But to still, at my age, be performing, and to be performing with some of the most talented, and I call them kids, but they're not kids, they're in their early 20s, to be performing with some of the most talented young people coming up into the industry who are just crazy talented and super sweet and lovely people. It's I'm very, very humbled by the young ones coming up every year. They're fantastic. So it's really awesome.
And that's nice of you to say, but I'm sure that they sort of look to you as a bit of a mentor as well in that moment, because it's a big deal to go on a stage and do a community event like that. I think it's amazing. I was sad the next day though when I don't know, flicked up on my feed that, and I know none of the detail, but basically it said that your night was ruined by one individual. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, so I'm going to be really, because I've actually launched an official complaint about this. So I'm going to give you what I can give you, but I can't give you it all. What actually happened was it was 5:30 in the morning, and they
were still dancing at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, you've got some stamina, my friend.
I had a lot of angst and a lot of things to dance out that have been sort of repressed for the past 6 months. So I did, and so they turned the ugly lights on, and it was time to everyone get out.
Sorry, they turned the ugly lights on.
Yeah, the white bright lights that come on at the end of the night, like the get out lights.
I would have just thought they'd turn on a Barry Manilow record, but they turn on ugly lights, do they?
Barry Manilow would be a treat compared to those lights, because they're fluoro white, awful lights. And
does everyone scatter like going? Ah!
Pretty much, they bolt pretty quickly. I tell you, it clears out real quick.
Oh,
and then so I had, if you can imagine this, I had a backwards cap that was black with Mickey Mouse ears attached to it, and big Mickey Mouse hands that had 4 fingers. And a little wrestling singlet and knee-high socks and big sneakers. I looked like a cartoon Mickey Mouse, like on like hentai porn. So it was fun. And as I'm leaving, one of my hands falls off. So as I've turned around to grab it and pick it up off the ground, a security guard has grabbed me and has actually put his hand on me. Now, under RSA RCG law, they aren't allowed to physically touch you unless you're becoming disruptive or combative, which I was not. He grabs me and tells me that I need to stay here for a second, to which I replied, well, you're closing the venue. I wish to leave. I'm leaving. Let me go, please. And he goes, no, just hold on. And he was holding me. I said, mate, what you're actually doing is assault. Please let go of me. There is nothing you can, I'm leaving. And he goes, no, just hold on. And I said, am I being detained by law? And he goes, no. I said, then let the F go of me, please. And he goes, I'm taking you over to the ACON. Now, ACON is a community service organization. And I was going to be taken over to their support tent because I was, quote, intoxicated, despite the fact I was standing up and I was completely cognizant and responsive to what they were asking. Yeah, I did. But I was nowhere near as bad as some people there. I was just being targeted.
Okay.
So I was taken over to the ACON tent, and the people behind there knew who I was because I've worked with them before. And I said, look, I need an advocate, please, because they're not listening to me. I'm being held for no reason. I wish to leave. I want to go. I have someone outside waiting for me who's had a diabetic sugar spike. And so I was panicking about him to make sure he could get his insulin. And they just weren't letting me go. This head of the security, she had told the security guard to keep me there. To which I just said, you know what? If I'm not being held by police, F off. I'm not going to stay here. And I went out a side door. As I've left, this security agent, the boss lady, she had followed me. And when I got to the cloakroom to get my bag out, she was watching me. And I thought, you know what, I need to not be combative. I need to stop. I need to take a breath. I need to check myself, and then I need to go and speak to her like a grown-up, because I'm probably going to be in the cast again, and that I'll be working there again, and I don't want it to be bad. So I went up to her and just said, hello, my name is Will. I would like to talk to you about what has just happened, please. Can we go somewhere a little bit more quiet? She refused. I said, okay. How you and your staff treated me was inappropriate and unnecessary and frankly unwarranted. To which I was told, well, if I showed a video of you right now, you are sweaty and you are in an emotional state, how would that look? And I said, I'm sweaty because I was dancing inside a hot venue all night, and I'm sweaty, and I have hyperhidrosis, which is a medical condition of excess sweat, and they're gonna see me being emotional because I'm embarrassed because I was detained by security for no reason.
So you hadn't been emotional until they detained you?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Because I was embarrassed and a little bit frightened because I've never been held like that before.
Mm-hmm. How were they holding you?
Just by my shoulder, and like they just wouldn't let me go. Like
if someone held me by my shoulder, I would just flick it away and keep going. Did you try to fight them off?
Well, that's an escalation of a situation because that's combative. If you don't comply, you're combative.
You didn't do that?
No.
Fair enough.
And he was a bigger guy than me as well, and I wasn't going to push it.
Got it.
So then when I was outside talking to this lady, the security boss, I said, look, I don't want there to be any bad blood between us. I believe what you're doing is an incredible job because, it's a lot of people to keep track of. However, I believe your staff and yourself need training in sensitivity of what it is to deal with people like myself who might have medical conditions, who might, who have done nothing wrong, but you won't listen because you showed no sensitivity to myself at all. In fact, you're quite condescending and rude. She then threatened me with the police. And at that point I said, all right, I know what I'm not going to do this because I won't win. So I left after that point. And I was so humiliated and dehumanized by the whole experience because I had actually, throughout the night, as I said, on the way to the venue, I had helped someone with a heroin overdose. While I was dancing throughout the night, I took 8 people to the medical tent to help them get some medical treatment because they were having drops on the floor, whether it had been from overdoses of GHB or MDMA, but they needed medical attention and I got them to go. So I was well aware enough to get people to go to medical treatment, but I was being accused of being intoxicated and told that I needed help when that wasn't the case. I know my body and I know my limits.
Sometimes amateurs know best, and a lack of professionalism is all you'll hear on the Time to Talk show. Join Tim and his panel of guests as they wade their way through a range of news, music, and pop culture treats. Time to Talk, the show hosted by amateurs for unprofessional listeners.
Had you engaged in drug use that they might have identified your behaviour under the influence of drugs? Had you?
Well, being that I was sweaty, that was probably what they were thinking. But again, anyone who's been to a Mardi Gras party, and for those of you who haven't been, drug use is very common, and you will find it everywhere there. And that's when you find that people need to go to the medical tent because of how they are. But I was well enough to take others to get medical help, and I believe I was fine to do so.
So, Will, I like to play devil's advocate, don't you? And it does mean, I hope none of this is going to cause you offence, but I want you to put yourself into the original security guard, the male. I want you to put because obviously the first time that you laid eyes on him was when he had approached you. What would he have observed in the 2 to 3 minutes before he actually came and put his hands on you?
Me turning around, picking up my big cartoony glove and walking out the door, trying to walk back, but he blocked my way out.
Were you singing, swaggering, yelling, pushing, shoving?
I was walking perhaps very briskly to get back out to my friend who was, out there waiting for me. So I was walking quickly.
It just seems strange that somebody would, especially in that particular group where you could probably go every second person looks sweaty and whatever.
Exactly.
So why do you think he approached you?
This is the thing I don't know. And then to have his boss also stand beside him and pantomime behind my back that I was intoxicated and that I was needing help, that I was crazy.
Yep.
Was one, grossly insensitive and totally inappropriate, unprofessional, and unfair.
Yep.
Because again, I was upright, speaking clear, fluent, and I was speaking in a clear, concise manner, and I don't understand why this happened.
And were they expressing concern for you? Did they think about calling an ambulance or taking you to the medical tent?
No, but they certainly threatened me with police. So you tell me what their concern was.
And so literally the only explanation you got was from the senior security officer, who was female, who said to you, "You're sweaty." It was your appearance that she was concerned about.
And she said, quote, "You are sweaty, you look very emotional, and you need help," quote.
Right.
And that is one of the most offensive things I think I've been told, where I need help. I had helped in 8 people's interventions to make sure they were alive and had enough hydration and kept them going throughout the night. I had given someone Narcan to bring them back from a heroin overdose earlier that night. I had done more than her staff had done that night with saving people. And yet I needed help. It was very insulting.
But ultimately you were able just to walk away, thank goodness, but it left a bad taste in your mouth.
Absolutely did. And I know that I'm very forthright and I can speak my mind, and I will have no trouble ever doing that. However, if they were to target someone who was maybe a little bit more intoxicated or not as forthright in speaking their mind, that could really, really harm someone. It could really harm someone's mental health. It could really scare someone. And there was moments of this where I was worried, because when you're being held and they're not telling you why, you get nervous, because it's, what are we doing here? Let me go. And I had someone waiting for me outside.
And let's be honest too, is it nerve-wracking when they use the word police because of the drug use and all that goes on? That can escalate quite quickly for you in terms of a legal matter, right?
Yeah, I mean, like when police are threatened to you, it is a compliance thing. Like, you either fall in line and comply with what I tell you, or get the police. That's it. And if you don't fall in line, they're very, very, very willing to go get the police. It is a legal minefield in that, if you're found with anything illicit on you, that's bad. But also the fact that I unfortunately had someone pass away in my home of a fentanyl heroin overdose in November. So police already know who I am from that. And so that's just another headache I did not need.
So that made you even more nervous, the fact that you'd been engaged with the police back in November?
Yeah. And just to be very, very clear about that, I had not had any heroin, fentanyl. I actually found the body and tried to bring him back to life. He was my flatmate's boyfriend, and unfortunately, he was not able to be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So what a night. It started off with, the days before, with such hope and excitement. I could see a real pep in your step, which was great to see. Then you had this, you actually sound like you had a wonderful night up until that point.
It was a fantastic night. It really was. And it's just a shame that that's how it ended. It really is.
Can I ask, what's the logic behind not letting it go at this point? You've put in the complaint, you're following it up, you're going to see it through to its logical end, which is your right to do.
Yep.
Has it crossed your mind just to go, right, ugly incident, it happened, let it go?
How many times has that happened to other people where they've just let it go and then it's gotten to me? And again, we're a community. You don't do it for yourself, you do it to protect others who might not be able to protect themselves. This security guard was on a power trip, the one that was following orders, as he put it, could have stopped at any point. He had his own autonomy to not grab me, but instead he did. That's not okay. You don't put your hands on someone, and you certainly don't tell them that they need help when they don't. because they were able to tell you that they are fine and that they're walking out on their own.
Yeah.
And I could let it go, sure, but if it happens to someone else, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself because I could have done something.
What do you want the result to be? So I understand you're standing up for the people that might experience the same thing in the future, but what do you hope to be the outcome? An apology, a sacking, or what?
Definitely not a sacking, and definitely an apology would be nice. I doubt I would get it, but it would be nice.
I assume this is a private security firm hired by the organisers of the Mardi Gras. It's not related directly to the Mardi Gras organisers.
I'm not actually sure with that. I had a meeting with Mardi Gras today about it, so I have to watch what I say about that. But I believe it's a security firm that's tied to the venue, not to Mardi Gras.
And really briefly, Will, I know that you've certainly had tough times, and my God, you are that type of person who uses every tough time as a learning and an education, and then you share that with others. How is life right now for you?
Life has been pretty good, actually. Like, getting into Mardi Gras was a big sort of distraction, and after last year and Max's passing, I needed that. And now that I've had it, now I'm trying to get back into working again, a regular job. And but things are, my mental health, fantastic. I'm seeing a therapist, which is going great. I recommend it to anybody who is questioning if they should or not. Go for it if you can get one. And things are actually genuinely good now.
Oh, well, it's been lovely talking to you. The biggest piece of education I'm taking, I always take one piece from every chat we have. Tonight, it is, if I ever do that walk between Oxford Street and Fox Studios, I will never wear heels.
Good. Oh, if you're going to do that, wear inner soles in your heels. That way it'll be nice and soft for your feet.
I had, see, another education. I didn't know heels could come with inner soles.
Some of them do. Some of them do. You just got to find the right one. Then you got to make sure you got to know how to wear them.
Nice chatting, Will.
And you, thank you very much for having me on again. I hope you are well too.
Mufasa, Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. What? Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Get it, Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Get it, Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa.
The one thing we have in common, though, Aaron, and this is the start, is our Kylie, and she is bloody amazing. I'm sitting here. It's 5 o'clock. I know you've just got back from work, and I hope it's all right with you. I've just poured the little Chardonnay or Cardonet. So apologies if I'm feeling a little bit more uplifted than you after coming off the back of work.
Might be far behind you.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, feel free. But you went to one of the Kylie shows, and I'm dying to find out what people thought of the Kylie show. You're a long-term Kylie fan. I've read all your lots of your posts on Facebook, and I've seen your name around. This is the first time we've met, so
it is.
Nice to meet you, Aaron.
You too.
But how was that show in Sydney for you? Tell us all about it.
I really loved it. Yeah. I haven't seen Kylie for a very long time. In fact, the last time I saw Kylie was at the very front row in the very middle of the Capitol Theatre for the Impossible Princess tour. So we're talking
okay,
a long time ago.
Screeching stop. Aaron, why has it taken you so long to get back and see Kylie since Intimate and Live? Really?
I don't really know. I saw Rhythm of Love when I was a teenager, and
good man.
Look, Kylie was always, she was our princess. Especially if you're a 90s gay kid growing up in the countryside, we had, Madonna was God, and Kylie was second to me, and so I Kylie means a lot to me. And even when the Impossible Princess era came, and I mean, it's incredible to think that I went and saw her at the Capitol Theatre. It's a testament to how incredible her career has been that she came back from that level of popularity when she tried to convince everybody she was cool.
And it was a great show too, wasn't it? I was there. You and I must have been in the same vicinity many times, I'd say. Rhythm of Love, check. Capitol Theatre, check.
I went down the indie Kylie thing. I was happy to go down it. And I guess then later on, I still loved Kylie, but I guess I sort of got into, I became a sort of more into underground club scenes. So I still had my little pop moments, but I just, for some reason, I never aligned with the Kylie tour again. And this time I was just feeling a bit nostalgic, and I quite liked the new albums. I wasn't a huge fan of a couple of them recently, I suppose.
Which one? So Disco wasn't up your alley?
I mean, I didn't like the country one, but not many people did. But everyone seemed to love Disco, and weirdly enough, it wasn't really up my alley. I'm not a huge classic disco vibe fan, so I was hoping it was.
Yeah, well, you're starting to give us a flavour already. If you're underground, it makes sense to me that the sweetness of disco might not have been quite to your liking.
No, it was just a little too saccharine for me.
Yeah,
and tension sort of. I feel that tension. If you look at the tensions, plural, I kind of liked it once the second one came out. I felt it was a little bit like it's like Rebel Heart, like there's heaps of songs, and there's a good album in there and a not so good album in there. And I think I can personally put a few of this one and a few of that one together from the two tensions, and I've got an album I really enjoy. So I was with the new music. I really loved the song Tension. That was really.
I'm making some assumptions here. Sorry to interrupt, Darren, but now that I'm getting a flavour of what you like, I'm not surprised for Tension Tour is up your alley because it's got a bit of a darker vibe about it. In general, there are some flowery songs, but generally it's got a bit more of a rock. What was that?
It also had a bit of a slight rave element to it too.
Yes. Yeah.
So when this came around, I thought, well, I do like some of the new music, and I thought in a way, look, this is no disrespect to her. I'm sure she's got a long way to go and more amazing things in front of her. But I thought, well, she's at that age. She's still in her peak right now. She's put out.
Sorry. When someone starts that sentence with "at this age." ... Oh golly, we're starting to hear that about Kylie.
Well, we are, but I guess, to be really,
she did all right for an old boiler.
Well, she's not doing. It's not even that I don't think she's doing all right for an old. I think she's actually not old yet. Like that's the thing. Like she's not young, but she's not old. Like she's still kicking it.
She's golden.
Yeah, she's golden. So I thought, well, this is probably a good time to go and see her, and in some ways, just sort of like pay my respects to.
Aaron,
she was in my life. You know what I mean?
Oh, choose your words. You came to see Kylie at Attention Tour so you could pay your respects.
Well, not to pay my respect, but no, in a nice way to acknowledge that Kylie Minogue was, a huge. Sometimes I liked her more than other times, but overall, Kylie was, a big deal in my life. And like, you know what, I'm going to go and do it. And I'm going to get the deer tickets, and I'm going to go and do it properly. And if I don't ever see her again live, at least this is it. So I, in some ways, put a little bit of pressure on the experience for me.
Yeah, you put a lot of tension into it. Now, listen. So you've brought us right to the edge of the diving board. We all want to hear what you thought of the show. But are you willing to play a game with me first before you give us your verdict?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. Aaron, this game is called Acceptable or Not Acceptable. Just get this music under control in the studio.
Unacceptable music.
Okay, acceptable or unacceptable. Aaron, here we go. Are shorts acceptable at a Kylie concert? Wearing shorts to a Kylie concert?
Acceptable, yeah, I did. Yeah.
You did?
I did, yeah.
You weren't paying your respects then, were you?
I was. I mean, if anything, if they were going to be paying my respects to the history of Kylie, they would have been little denim cut-offs or something, but they weren't. They were respectable. They were respectable shorts. It was
respectable shorts. I'm hearing this a lot, that there are acceptable shorts and non-acceptable shorts. I don't know what the difference is. What is it? Kmart and Cotton On or what?
Oh, no. I think mine were like G-Star Raw. Yeah.
G-Star Raw. I've never even heard of it. Gee, I'm a fashionista. Okay, acceptable or unacceptable? $8 for a bottle of water at the Kylie concert.
Yeah, unacceptable.
Yeah. Did you go?
They're pretty ridiculous. Yeah.
I was one person at the show, so I only had two hands, but I was carrying a beer in one, water in the other. It cost me about $182. It was a really bad start to the show for me. Yeah. Acceptable or unacceptable? No songs from Let's Get To It, Impossible Princess, X, Golden, or Kiss Me Once.
For me, I mean, look, it's all subjective. So for me personally, it was all fine, except I have a couple of really big moments on X. X was a moment for me. And I was, I was a little bit disappointed. My favorite Kylie song is The One.
Ooh, a lot of people are saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely. I like, there's different Kylies, and for me, I like that kind of dreamy synth wave kind of pop Kylie. And so when she gets the synth pads going in there, there's sort of a slightly more sort of melancholic, sweet melodies. And so I love The One. But I mean, look, everybody has said things that they want.
But Tension had a harder vibe. I think the one would have fit in if they'd chosen to put it in. Okay, acceptable or not acceptable? No Danny Minogue popping up on stage anywhere in Australia, including the Melbourne show, which she did come to watch.
I can see how people would think that's unacceptable, but for me personally, I wouldn't really care.
Not that big a Danny fan?
No, look, I had my Danny moment. I think I've got the city single of Success and Love and Kisses. Very long time ago.
Oh my God. Your musical tastes are all over the place.
Yeah, well, I had my 14-year-old smash hits phase, and I think Danny was fully in that phase. Yeah,
I love that. Have you still got it? Do you?
Yeah, I've got all my CDs. I've got like a whole cupboard full of like all my CDs. Yeah, I used to pocket my money, my lunch money, and go to the record shop and buy CD singles and Cassie.
We're all so predictable. We all tell the same story. I used to do the same thing. I used to get my pocket money. I think I got maybe $5 a week or so, but two of that, or maybe $1.50 at the beginning, went to smash hits for a start. Anyway, But there you go. Final one, acceptable or not acceptable? Jazzy P to appear at the London show.
Oh, acceptable.
And if you don't know who Jazzy P is,
I
fine.
know who Jazzy P is. Yeah, totally acceptable. Yeah.
Would you? I think it would be quite the moment.
I absolutely do too. Yeah. I mean, she did okay without it, but I think that's great.
I'm going to get sexy, y'all. I love Jazzy P. I've had Jazzy P on the show. She is a beautiful person, by the way.
Yeah. No, I think she's very cool. I think that'll be a great show to see.
So, Aaron, you've went to Intimate and Live, then you decided, for nostalgia, to go to Tension. Give us your verdict. What did you make of the show?
I really loved it. Yeah, I had a really great time. It was pretty much all in all what I thought I would get. She gave us some Tension songs, but didn't drown us in them, which I know probably annoyed some of the more hardcore fans I've talked to, and I think on your comments.
There was only one from Tension too, and that's one of my favourite albums.
Right. Yeah. Look, I wasn't. I got my bit. I really love Hold On To Now, so I got that from the Tension era. Yeah, and we got Attention. I think Tension is a really great song. So there was a bit there. I didn't need too much of it, and we got a nice splattering of old stuff. She seemed to be sticking fairly, I guess, for me, because I haven't been for such a long time and I was being nostalgic. It actually worked for me because it felt a little bit like the Madonna Celebration thing where they stopped re-envisioning and reimagining, and it just felt very much to the original.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked that. It was so original that actually when I uploaded my video of Better Devil You Know, it actually picked it up as the recording of Better Devil You Know.
Really? Oh, wow.
Shows you how close it is.
That's phenomenal. Yeah.
So I was down with that because I was there. I wasn't really there for artistic interpretation of them. I just was like, just give me the memories. I usually despise that person. I'm someone who usually goes to those concerts and is like, finds that disrespectful to artists who are still making new music to become a legacy act. So I understand that's a bit cringy to some people, but for me, that it was all there. It really nodded to probably, if I'm really going back to when my glory moment was of my teens with Kylie, she really seemed to nod to Rhythm of Love.
Yes, which is probably why I loved it so much. I think Rhythm of Love is still my favourite album.
It was just a moment, wasn't it? And that was really when she crossed over from chirpy mainstream pop to like where she became I think that's where she became a gay icon really as well, wasn't it? Like, what do I have to do film clip? I know that frame by frame. You know what I mean?
Isn't it amazing? And the behind the scenes footage as well. I wish they'd release a bit more behind the scenes, Danny in the background and all that. And for the 80% of listeners who have come on board either in 2001 or Padam era, the Rhythm of Love era, you missed out because that was taking this beautiful young lady who became super horny and super attitude.
Yeah.
Go back and look at some of the interviews and just super sexy.
And just pulled up gay stylist. What can you do with her?
It was an amazing era to live through. I wouldn't say I was shocked, but I was definitely like she used to say at the time. My fans are growing up with me, and I was really pleased to see her giving a bit of attitude back to the interviewers in a very professional way. But she was flicking her hair and going, "Well, I don't know what to say." She just had the attitude at the time, and
she did. That's when I got really on board. I mean, I had Kylie records before then, but Rhythm of Love was really when I became like a hardcore Kylie fanatic. And the show we didn't get Step Back in Time, but we got the three big ones. And hearing What Do I Have to Do live was really great. That's my favorite old Kylie song. So I was really
and apparently it wasn't in all the shows. So I almost fell down the stairs. I was sitting on an aisle, standing at an aisle, and almost fell down the stairs when she because it was the original version and everything. So I was like having a heart attack.
Yeah,
hey, Aaron, this might be the time for you to go and grab a drink if you feel like it. You can have a little bit a lay back. I want you to hear Seasonal Adventures. That's his name on YouTube. This is what he had to say. A couple of minutes from Seasonal Adventures about his review of the Perth show, which was, for those of you in the know, show number 1.
And last but not least, the staging. Yes, that even before I started to read the plethora of comments, the staging did look a bit bare, I mean a bit empty, like there's a lot of open space. It harked back to me sort of flashbacks of the Kiss Me Once tour. I mean, even then it did have those bars. It looked like those climbing bars, like horizontal and vertical sort of bars in the staging, which again look basic but kind of functional as well. But those that have wanted to see what it looks like from media, press photos or fan photos and TikTok and so forth, some clips on YouTube from people's phones, the staging is really open and bare. Like there's just one big screen or screens along the back wall. The staging looked like it's only elevated by 3 or 4 steps and nothing else. There was at the beginning, she did add kind of like, how would you put it, like stepped, how would you put it? I don't know how to describe it. It looks like steps that you can move around, like Lego pieces. Just 3 or 4 of those just for like aesthetic effect, but nothing that she was walking on or the stances we're using. So other than that, and using lasers, of course, that's fine. Laser lighting, smoke machines, and different, obviously, lighting. Yeah, it's kind of open and bare. Also, the number of dancers that she had, which is fine. There's only 25 dancers on stage. But, some of their costumes I think were a bit dour, meaning they were black or grey. And, I mean, it doesn't have to always be rainbow colours or primary colours. But, in a concert you want it to be very visual, and Kylie's known for that. So having the dancers kind of almost camouflaged, kind of detracted from the overall look, I thought, a little bit. Yeah, the set did look a little bit bare.
So, Aaron, that was Seasonal Adventures from YouTube. He went to the first show in Perth, and his review goes for 11 minutes. He generally talks quite positively, but there you go. There are 2 things that, if there is criticism or quibble about the show, it's staging and it's costume. They're 2 things that I hear time and time again. Did you have any quibbles with the show?
Look, I mean, in terms of the staging, it's very Madam X Goes to the Arena, let's face it. But
God, you have a way with words, my friend. I like you.
I had no issue with it. I mean, I thought it was cool. I think for me, because I'm an old club head, it felt very rave. I loved the use of lasers. It felt really like, it was sort of like 1995 on steroids sort of
Totally.
vibe. I quite liked that. And there's that whole very dancey section. I think the sort of the middle bit gets quite clubby, and I that's my favourite bit, and it really worked with it.
So we're talking there, Edge of Saturday Night, which went off, Time Bomb, and there's another one, probably the Chemical Brothers Slow, I'd say.
Slow. Like that. I think that is when it actually felt a little bit like not flat, but it did a little bit, because that was just such a peak for me, and it really brought that vibe into it perfectly. So I had no problem with it. I had really good seats, though. I mean, I can kind of feel like, for me personally, I don't go to an arena and sit up the back. Like, I'm not going to go at all, because I just don't see the point. I did it with Lana Del Rey because I could only get seats at the back, and I love Lana. And it was just a cold experience. I swore I would never do it again. And I
Yeah.
can understand why if you are at the back, you're leaning on the spectacle a little bit more, and it doesn't have that. You know what I mean? And so I get that. But then also, I don't know, I mean, that kind of, what are you doing there? I mean, I'm not someone who goes and requires spectacle. And I actually think the thing that really...
Are you one of these ones who sit up the front and you turn around just for a moment in between songs and look at all the people and go, you trash?
Yeah, come on. It's just an extra...
I mean, you can't look down at the poor folk. Some people can't afford to be down there, Aaron, with all your riches.
And I also, I've said this, and I do think this is true as well. I
would have poured water all over your head, except it would have cost me about $6 to do so.
They weren't cheap, and I do understand that. I think there's an expectation. This is nothing to do with Kylie. As someone who works in marketing, this is not her. This is the team around her and the label and everybody else. If you're going to charge that much for tickets, I do think you are creating an expectation in the audience these days that you're going to get something, you're going to get bang for that buck. And
how much were your tickets?
Rave, do you know what I mean? And so I get why some people would be like, well, there's not much.
That's an interesting point. I've never thought of that. That if you're going to charge that much, you are setting a benchmark. How much did you pay for your premium seats?
I paid $509, I think it was.
$509, what each?
Yeah.
What for? Sorry, where were you sitting?
We were like row 2 at the end of the end of the catwalk.
Jesus! So what is that called? VIP seats? Because I noticed it was VIP.
I don't know if it was the Padam or it was the 10. Like, it was had some corny name, but yeah.
Wow, you paid $500 for your.
Yeah, wow. We got a little travel pack. You got like a little diary.
Listen to this dude, people. Listen to Aaron looking around at the rest of us going, you trash.
I got a lanyard just so everybody knew I was a VIP. Yeah.
That was you. I noticed a few people walking around in the stadium with lanyards, and I thought, I wonder where you get those from. Yeah. They were the elite. Lucky I didn't know. They would have been sorry.
So I feel like I, at the front, got the intimacy of it, though. And I think what really left me, what I have to say about it is that, like, it really did focus on her as a performer. And to her credit, Kylie actually is a performer. She doesn't have the depth or artistry of some of the other sort of...
Oh, no. Aaron, you're hurting my heart.
She's a great performer. Like, she really held her own on that stage. So because I was close enough to be sort of in her presence, I guess, I really didn't feel the absence of the staging. But if you're at the back, you're not really getting that same sense of...
I'm laughing because you're so elitist, aren't you? Oh, my God. Hey, Aaron, do you want to hear a bit from the show you went to? You went to show 3 of 3 in Sydney, I think. That's correct, right? On the Monday night. Here's a little bit. Have another sip of your elitist wine.
Because I did one night. It was beautiful. I woke up with a crush. We never got to touch. One night was not enough. Went tripping in a dream. You there in front of me, like Eloisa. It felt so real, and I could feel that emotion taking over. The night was long, the sea and stars. Last night I dreamt I fell in love.
I actually like that song. Yeah, I love it.
You do love that song,
yeah? I like it. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like that other one on the Tension too. There's that other sort of slightly Latin vibing sounding track, but that's what she's doing. But it works. Yeah,
and it fits right in with what you've described as what you like about Kylie's music. So tell me this: like now that I've realised I'm talking to someone who was in the King's Court or the Queen's Court down there, what was the atmosphere like amongst the people around you? Were people really engrossed in this show?
Oh yeah. It was definitely, there was definitely a vibe where we were. I was wondering that because, our show was the last to go on sale. I had actually bought tickets to the previous 2 shows and sold them because I was determined to get the seats I wanted. And so
sorry, how does that work? You did a bit of a potluck and realized that the tickets weren't what you wanted.
I had like the pre-sale access. So on the Saturday night one, I got the second row, but when I looked at it, because when you had the pre-access, you couldn't choose the seats. It just sort of gave you what it thought was the next best one available, which kind of sucked. And it didn't even have a map at that stage. So we kind of got and then the map came out. I realized I was the second row, but we've all been to shows where that doesn't really work if there's a catwalk, right? So I was like, no, you don't want to be there. You want to be at the end of the catwalk. So I kept trying. And they put the Sunday show on, and I tried again. It was a bit better, but not still. And then I got the Monday show, and I got literally the second row at the end of the catwalk. The irony is, she didn't spend much time on the catwalk, but she was
That's
still
true.
in front of me.
Yeah.
I was a bit shocked by how little time she spent on the catwalk. And Madonna does half a show on the catwalk, but Kylie just every now and then walked up and did a little shake and walked back. So, but still, at least she was always in front of me. So I was, it was. I was wondering, being the last show, sometimes at the last show, they're the people that are, they're not as diehard as they are in the first couple of shows, but people were still going crazy, and definitely the vibe in the crowd after it was unmistakably, people were impressed.
So look, on behalf of all the listeners, and please don't take offence, but I am going to say this: oh, how the other half live. Look, listen to all these first world problems, would you? Oh my God!
The problem is we're the last ones to get out of the stadium and get on the train.
Oh, it's so hard.
We just stand there on the floor waiting for everybody else to leave.
I'm so sorry that the great unwashed doesn't move fast enough for you, Aaron. Jeez, wow. How does this show compare to a Madonna? Because I'm assuming you went to see Rebel Heart in the same arena.
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I don't know how I picked that about you, Aaron. I don't know how I picked that. But go on. How would you compare them and be brutal?
I actually felt in some ways there were some similarities there. Look, I mean, obviously Rebel Heart was just at a very different level of intricacy. And I think one of the things about Madonna versus Kylie, I don't have a problem with this. I don't say this slighting Kylie, but, Madonna has always been somebody who is pop, but it also is very much an artist. And you expect a certain level of depth from her. You expect her to be pushing things forward in a way. It doesn't always work, of course, but you expect that from her. I've never really expected that of Kylie. Kylie is what Kylie is, and she has great teams around her, and she's a great performer. And a lot of what she does tends to be lean. You can see where it's come from, let's say. And that's okay. It's, it's all still enjoyable. And I felt that a little bit about the show. Like, you could sort of see what they were doing. I also saw the Doja Cat's Scarlet Tour. I thought was a bit of an influence on this as well. But yeah,
Doja Cat's what? Scarlet Tour?
Scarlet Tour was a very
really
big screen. Yes, it was very, very much like this.
I love Doja Cat.
She's fabulous. So yeah, look, I don't think in the way you can compare them, because Rebel Heart was what did have that spectacle element. Very much like it knew it was a big show in a big arena, and it was trying to use every space, and it was just a very intricate show. And also Madonna does shows where there's a lot of storytelling, or at least the concepts are quite strong. Kylie, this tension was really about the design aesthetic. It was a simple design aesthetic. So a lot of the set sections were really much about a look or a feel, but they weren't really very conceptual. They weren't really telling any stories.
There's a listener from New Zealand, and he told me, and I've never heard it before, and I've never heard it since. So maybe it's not true. No offense to my lovely New Zealand listeners. That apparently there was a certain direction, but then there was some sort of budget scandal behind the scenes, and at the last minute they had to pivot to these people who did Aphrodite, and they did the staging. So maybe that explains a bit.
I mean, it's also going over. I mean, she's also going. I think we've also got to understand as well. Like in Australia, Kylie is this, huge figure, and you're used to these massive size acts having these massive shows. But she's going overseas. The same show has to go and be viable everywhere.
Has to travel.
Yeah, and and she's going to countries where she's not that huge, and they're not going to be able to charge the same ticket prices, and it has to be the same show they're putting on. So,
hey, Aaron, have you ever had to unbox like a Bravia TV, like a big screen Bravia TV at your home? It's hard, isn't it?
It is.
It's hard. Can you imagine packing those screens that they? I mean, it's just, I can't even think about it. Do you know? I was listening to you, and I'm just slowly digesting what you've said and how you've said it. When Kylie, around Rhythm of Love and Let's Get to It, when she started to transition from the sweet girl into the Vixie, the vamp, my sister, who hates Kylie, ironically still went and saw her at Gay Pride in Sydney, but that's another story. She used to say very spitefully to me, yeah, but anyone could look that good. Anyone could look that good with a great team around her. I mean, she's got all the best. She's got all the makeup artists, and people do her hair. You think you're getting, but she does nothing. And I just heard from you earlier, and it must have triggered a very nasty memory in me, as you can probably tell by the impersonation I just did, because you said she's got this great team around her. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that she doesn't really, and you're also implying she doesn't have artistry?
Yeah, I don't really think that she does, to be honest with you. I don't think she's creating that sort of a pop product. And I think there's always been something it always has been a slightly more superficial kind of product in some ways. It looks great, it sounds great, it's uber cool. But it is kind of pop. Like there's never been a great depth to it. I don't think she's going after that depth. Madonna thinks she's changing the world, right? And sometimes she did. But Kylie's not that kind of an artist. And the issue with those sorts of an artist, she can sing. She had a great voice. She's a great performer. But I do think that Kylie is, she has always been part of of teams. And sometimes the problem with those pop artists, pop products, is that as their career goes down post their peak, it really comes down to economic decisions about who the label is giving them. And so you're not getting access to the best teams anymore. I mean, Billie Eilish will have the best stylists. Like, they don't decide who their stylists are. The label will give them to them. So they will get the very best. And as you start being post-peak, you're getting less and less access to the best sometimes. And so sometimes it's hard to keep going. And I think what she's had, and I did start to see that, I got to say, around the golden era. And I think at the moment what happened was she had this Padam moment. And what's great about it is the label's gone, oh, she actually can make some money, and she's having this viral moment, and it seems to be getting young people into her. Let's throw some money at her. And so it's great at this point of your career. You're lucky to have a bit where they throw money at her. Now, of course, if it doesn't work and Padam is just this thing, they won't throw the same amount of money at her in the future. But it's partly why I went to the show. I'm like, well, she's having a moment. They're throwing money at her. Let's go. Because you don't always get that.
I can't believe this.
Pretty good, right?
All the people who write to me and say, Tim, you're too controversial, I hate you. Well, I'm going to give you Aaron's email address. You can I'm passing the baton on to you. You are extremely controversial.
Where's the lie? That's how it works. Yeah.
Oh, no, I've really enjoyed this. It's a completely different perspective. You're not the typical Kylie fan. You're definitely the truthful Kylie fan, which is awesome. But yeah, look, I'm only glad, Aaron, that you enjoyed the show.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. Like, I don't say any of those things in a nasty way. I've worked around the industry.
Well, let's just recap. Sorry to interrupt.
I work behind the curtain, right? So I get how it all works, and I think people forget that when they're looking at it, we still attribute way too much to that person. We forget how many people are involved. And
I would tend to agree with you.
Control over, truth be told, you know what I mean? And so,
no,
I don't say that disrespectfully. I just get that that's the reality of the industry.
Yeah, but I would counter. Like, typically, I would agree with you, except for the longevity. You can't say that she's just been accidentally a successful product with a team around her who know how to direct her and, like a horse, leading her to the water every step of the way. If that was 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, maybe a little pop starlet, for example, I think you're underestimating the artistry that she offers. I think she knows exactly who she is.
I think you've got to be talented. Like, sometimes in the industry, do you get people with zero talent who it really is they're just trying to take someone, maybe they're just really hot, and they these teams trying to make something out of nothing. Oh God, let me think. Who would be? I mean, I actually think that at the moment, like, even Sabrina Carpenter, who probably is talented, but I think Sabrina Carpenter, when she tried to be her with, like, no, she's hot. Let's, like, throw all this money at her, and they've kind of created her into this really bubbly thing that I have no time. I feel is really, it's just so inauthentic. I find her completely disengaging. Kylie has always managed to have enough of herself in it. I think that's why it works. Like, at the heart of it, there is a Kylie that runs through it all cohesively as a performer, but it's still a highly stylized product. And, she's getting the music, and she has not, I don't think she's an artist like Madonna, but even Madonna has, she's been very vocal. I mean, Madonna has been very vocal about what I've just been saying about how she has been struggling to get the label to fund the way she wants to write albums, for example. She's like, I'm an artist, I want to do this. And I just put out your bloody greatest hits tour, darling, right? That's what they'll fund. That's why she caved in the end, because they're like, we're not giving any more money for that stuff. We're giving you money for this. And so you are relying on what they're funding from you. And so, that is just the reality of it all. But she's not, but she's still talented. And there is a Kylie through it all. But she's had a lot of great teams. She has something about her, especially in Australia and the UK, that everybody likes. There's a real sort of sweetness to her. Like she's not, it's interesting. Like I was glad she didn't talk too much. Like I think she's nice, but I don't think she's especially engaging, I have to say. Like I'm like after 10 seconds of her niceness, I'm like, okay, cool, just keep going. And but she's warm and she's bubbly and she's nice and she's got that. She has.
Do you think she's intelligent, Aaron?
Pardon?
Because look, if you don't mind me saying, you're clearly a highly intelligent guy, right? And I'm loving that about you. Do you think Kylie's intelligent?
I think she has. I think she's a nice person who has been around long enough to definitely have some smarts about her. She understands how the industry works. I don't think she has ever been that sort of master manipulator or like I don't think she's.
Stop choosing your words. Stop choosing your words.
She's
All right.
But
Let me ask you. I'm going to ask you differently.
I'll put it to you this way: I don't think her intelligence is a driving factor in her career.
If you sat with Kylie one-on-one, having a nice
I'm not saying she's dumb.
a nice tension cocktail, could you have a conversation about politics with Kylie, do you think?
I don't know. I don't really feel that. I don't get that vibe from her, I have to say.
Yeah.
But, I'd probably have a nice conversation with her and I'd probably walk away and go, oh, she's really lovely.
You're so patronising. She was a nice girl.
Go on. No, it's like, no, I think she's nice. I don't, there are some artists that you could listen to, and they have a really interesting perspective and they really want to give it. I don't think that's the thing. I don't think Kylie's pretending to be. I don't think she's interested in giving us that. She's never given us really anything much in terms of that. Like she doesn't have a perspective. There's not a remotely intellectual perspective that's ever been a part of Kylie. And Kylie has gone on for a long time. Even when she was being cool indie Kylie, there was no social or cultural context. She was just like, I don't like pop music anymore, man. Like, that was it. I'm not doing what I should be so lucky anymore, man. And then she did, and it's sort of like, there's never been anything much deeper to it. But that's the thing. I don't think you go to a Kylie concert, you buy a Kylie record for that. There's other artists that will give you that, and Kylie doesn't do that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Whew. Aaron, I love your perspective on life.
Thank you.
I love that. I'm gonna let that digest. Aaron's had a conversation with Kylie. He's walking away. She's still sitting there thinking, I liked Aaron, and Aaron's thinking, yeah, she was nice. Nice girl.
Great stylist. Yeah.
Got a good team around her.
Yeah. Love what I did with her hair today.
No, this has been delightful. Thank you for talking to me, Aaron. Honestly, this has been lovely. I might not share your details because I have a feeling the listenership of this show might be out to get you, so you can make that choice.
No. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
What do they say in Kath and Kim? Cruel but fair.
Yeah. Where's the lie? Yeah.
Mufasa. Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. What? Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Get it, Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Get it, Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa.
Look, Rodrigo, this is absolutely an honor. I don't want to embarrass you straight off the bat, but in the world of Kylie fans, you are a Kylie fan god, if there is such a thing. You really are. You are relentless in your support of Kylie. Your posts are just amazing. They're regular. They're frequent. You don't just come out of the woodwork when there's something like the Tension Tour on the cards. You're always there in the in-between times as well. You are just the supreme Kylie fan, in my view.
Oh, that's so kind, Tim. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the kind words. Yeah, it's just like I do love this lady, so I'm just doing like something that she earned that. She earned that from me. Let's say that.
Yeah. Where are you based, Rodrigo?
Oh, I'm actually in Texas. I live in Texas. I've been living in the US for over 10 years, but I'm actually from Brazil. So um, I do understand a lot about Kylie's, market here in the US and of course in South America.
I got you on because you've made this incredible post that I'm about to, and I do. I really mean this. It's incredible.
Oh.
It's not often you read something so thoughtful and insightful about Kylie, and we're going to get to it. But let's start here. How long have you been a fan, and what attracted you to Kylie?
Yeah, no, those are great questions. So, Fever was my intro to Kylie. I was back then, I think I was 13 years old, and I still remember that a friend of mine, he was talking about, I was a big Britney Spears fan at the time, but a big friend of mine, he told me about this new pop singer who had a song called yes,
Oh,
that's
sorry.
how
Did you hear the hearty chuckle of the boy who was there since 11 years of age watching her on Neighbours? The new pop singer in 2001 or whatever
yeah,
it was.
yeah.
I love that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, now I know that that's not the case, right?
Yeah.
But then he introduced me. He actually shared "Can't Get You Out of My Head" with me at a time.
Mm.
Back then, there was no streaming, so he had to, like burn this, like the CD for me so I could hear the song. And then, of course, "Can't Get You Out of My Head" was everywhere, and music video was playing on MTV. So we know the story, right? I mean,
And where were
massive
you at the time
success.
in Brazil at that stage?
I was in Brazil at the
Yeah,
stage,
yeah.
exactly. And I remember that I did not care much about "Can Get You Out of My Head." So I was like, I'm not sure about this song. But then I remember that there was this music festival, I think it's in Italy, and I was kind of like excited about Britney Spears' performance. I'm no longer a Britney Spears fan, but like at a time, Britney was what Kylie is for me today. And I remember that before Britney, Kylie performed "In Your Eyes." It's that moment that I saw her performing for the first time, and that song, I was like, okay, I'm sold. This is it by Britney. That was that fast. It's crazy. I was
Poor
just,
Brittany. There
yeah,
was no room in your heart for both, Rodrigo?
well, let's say that there was a transitional phase where, I love both. Yeah.
A
Around this.
transitional phase. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You're the first person I've spoken to who dumped one pop star for Kylie. I love that.
Oh, yeah, I did for sure. Yeah, she was amazing performing, and then I started to discover her, back catalog, and of course I fell in love. I learned that she was not any newbie. She has been in this business for quite a while, and it was, well, let's be cheesy here, but it was love at first sight. I just fell in love with
Oh,
her.
I love that. Come into our world. Come into our world, Rodrigo. So, look, let's get to this post. As you
Sure.
know, and I'm working really hard to try to get the journalist on the show who caused a storm of controversy with saying that Kylie fans were not on board with the Tension tour.
Yeah.
But you've also cottoned onto the fact that it's not only the mainstream media that got themselves into a whirl and whipped up into excitement. You've noticed a lot of fans are being critical too. I'm just going to
Yeah.
read back the first paragraph of your post. I just came across a post by William Baker and noticed a few heated fans trashing Kylie's show, begging for him to save her. That broke my heart because the level of entitlement was wild. That wasn't feedback. It was outright disrespect. I'll read more of your posts soon, Rodrigo, but essentially what you're trying to say is people have the right to say they don't enjoy the Tension tour or they're critical of it, but you think that this is a little bit next level, right?
Yes, most definitely. Especially, to be honest, I mean, yeah, you could have your opinions based on videos. That's fine. That's how it works nowadays. But I do recommend people to really experience like movies or like a concert for yourself before like saying much about what someone tried to capture on video. To be quite honest, like in every tour there was like a similar comment. Never in this level. But I remember for Aphrodite, when the first pictures, kind of like hit the internet, some people said, "Oh, this is campy. This is campy, or like looks like a big like Mardi Gras sort of like party, and then everybody started to love the Aphrodite Le Folie for being super over the top. So same thing like for some past tours that I feel like some initial videos or pictures they could drive people to kind of like, I don't know, have just like one perspective on what the show is about.
Yeah.
But this time around, because Kylie is not focused on, being over the top, but she's coming with this polished concert that's very much in alignment with this new generation, and she wants to showcase who she is because she has this massive opportunity, to showcase more of who Kylie is and create a concert that is very like Kylie oriented versus, like I don't know, like a big Broadway style sort of a show. She has this chance to show people who she is. So I just love her perspective. I just love her vision for this tour. And I think because it's polished, some fans they were not happy. They thought that like, oh, the stage needed to do this and that, or the costumes had to be like super overly glamorous for her to be the Kylie that we love, which is not true because there are many Kylies in this Kylie journey.
And this is a new one. And I think that's what struck people, Rodrigo. I think that people are really unfamiliar with this because this is Kylie in the world of K-pop, in the world of 2025. And I think a lot of fans were expecting her to come back. And what popped for me in your message was we scream, the Kylie fan community screams, don't become a heritage act, Kylie. Keep your keep your music fresh, keep your performance fresh. Don't go over old ground. Give us something new. She's given us something new, but here's the kicker. The majority of people who are commenting on the blandness of this show haven't seen it yet. They have not been in the arena. What is their problem? How can you make a judgment about a show that you haven't been to?
Yeah. So it's like old times when I remember when the X tour came and people saw the stage, and I remember that some early reactions they got like, oh, this is not as complex as the Showgirl tour stage, because it was just like a big square. And then people started to love the show. So but because now social media is a big thing, right? And you know how social media is right nowadays. So people just got like more vocal and more angry, And to be honest, as you said, when they claimed that like Kylie needs William Baker, he was great. I'm not saying that he's not talented. He's absolutely super talented. But this is the new Kylie, as you said. And to be honest, this show is gaining like raving reviews from like people who are paid to write reviews, music critics,
or people who are there mainly. And I haven't
people
read,
who are there. Exactly.
I haven't read a single review. This is hand on heart the truth. I haven't read a single review from someone who was there that has said anything less than 4 out of 5 stars and who hasn't raved about her star quality. I want to talk about William Baker with you. You wrote, William Baker played a significant role in Kylie's career, and there's no denying his talent, but fans need to understand that they no longer work together and he is no longer part of her inner circle. It's clear they don't spend time together like they once did. And while I won't feed into the rumors, their relationship has obviously changed. What is this? What does William Baker represent? When we hear fans, and I've heard it for a long time, well before this tour, we need to bring Willie back. We need to bring Willie back. What does Willie represent to some fans in the Kylie community, do you think?
Yeah, I think the striking visuals, right? And by visuals, I'm not talking about like backdrop visuals, but I'm talking about like presenting Kylie in character, right? Like impersonating Aphrodite, like the Las Vegas showgirl. I mean, I think William Baker was really good at like bringing different moments in art and converging, all of those arts to kind of like present Kylie in a glamorous, striking visual way. And he represents nostalgia for a lot of people because the Fever Tour and Aphrodite and X came from that moment in time where a lot of people like fell in love with Kylie either again or, discover Kylie around that time. So I think that's what he represents. But as you said, this is a Kylie that it's almost like a rock star Kylie with a pop Kylie, but like being more oriented on showcasing who she is to new generations, right? And I love that. I love that there's no like in character Kylie during the Tension tour. We're seeing more of Kylie, and yeah, sorry, I think I'm digressing
No,
here.
you're saying it perfectly. And when I consider, and I sit in my meditative state, all zen, trying to work out what do those fans want Willie back for? Because it's not about William Baker. It's not. I believe what they are wanting is exactly what he represented, which was theatrical, camp, colourful, and then, as some people on my podcast recently said, shirtless men, a slightly, let's just call it what it is, a slightly gay show, whatever that is exactly. And I think that there are, and I respect it totally. I think there's a section of the Kylie community that yearn for the very high camp Kylie show. Tension is not that. And I think your point is you can be yearning for the camp Kylie, but you shouldn't be so ultra critical or personal. Has it become personal, Rodrigo? Has some of this criticism become quite over the top, far from criticism, but more personal attack?
I think so. I believe so. And to be honest, if you don't like something, right, even if you haven't attended a show, which we just discussed, I believe it's kind of silly that like you haven't attended, you're seeing those raving reviews coming from everyone, but you're still criticizing because the stage may not, I don't know, have her over like, I don't know, fly over like a shirtless angel or anything like that, but whatever, right? But what I want to say here is that you haven't seen the show, but even if you have an opinion about what you saw on video, right? You're going to her former coworker, who's clearly not her best friend, right? I'm not saying that like I know whatever's going on with Kylie and William Baker, but their relationship changed. It's clear because he's not in her inner circle. Yeah, they can see each other like once in a lifetime, but it's clear that their relationship, like work wise and in how to say that, like intimate wise, right? That relationship has changed. And you go to them, right, to write a bunch of stuff, trashing the other, your favorite artist, right? Trashing the artist's vision, because Kylie mentioned multiple times before the Tension tour began that this was not a show about playing with a bunch of concepts. This was a show about, connection, right? And being real and connection and all of that. And she created that. Like I have some friends of mine who were complaining that she was not flying from stage A to B or B to C, depending on how you see.
I was wondering that, Rodrigo. Sorry to interrupt your thought, but when I saw, I'm sitting there and I'd had the blackout, so I didn't know anything about the show. And I'm looking at the main stage and I'm looking at the center stage, which was right in front of me. How exciting is that?
Wow.
And my thought the whole time, that poor old mall rat or whatever she was on, while she was on, I wasn't paying attention to the supporting act. I was wondering, how is Kylie going to get from there to there? And I'm looking under it and thinking, there's no way there's a mechanical lift under there. Anyway, that was a completely divergent thought. I apologize for that. It was hardly the point you were making. But
and the point that I'm making is like, then some friends of mine, they were like, oh, she just walk in the middle of everybody to the stage. And I was like, that's not just. That really supports the vision of
that's not just
connection.
What pop star does that, right?
Exactly.
What pop star does
you
that?
You have this legend that is kind of like, just like walking toward, like traveling
mingling
from one stage
with the
to
great
the other.
Unwashed, as I say.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's really courageous, actually. I really mean that. And obviously it's a flavour of the Vegas tour where she felt that intimacy and she's craving it and yearning for that intimacy. So walking, I agree with you. This is not unsophisticated. It's the most courageous thing a pop star's done in a live show for a long time.
Exactly. And imagine if you're there and you see her like passing by you, at least like I can share a little bit of my experience in Vegas. That moment that Kylie just like walked close to me and she was actually like walking right in front of me, and then she did the locomotion movements towards me. That moment was probably like the most iconic, I don't know, the most amazing moment, amazing experience that I've had with her in my entire life.
Hey, Rodrigo, I've had dreams of Kylie doing the locomotion right in front of my face.
It's
I've woken up quite happy.
It's amazing, and she did spinning around as well, so she did the spinning around dance right for me. So like Jimmy, I didn't care at all if the Las Vegas stage was not as big as the Golden Tour or like the X Tour stage, and those were tours that I was able to attend as well. I was just like that moment that she was like at my level, right, in terms of like being there, like walking the floor and close to us and dancing. That moment was definitely like the most special moment, that my best memory from any Kylie show that I've been to. So fans are probably like like loving the experience of like seeing Kylie, crossing stages. So it's so silly that sometimes people cannot see that. It's not about like making the show poor. It's about like how amazing the experience is for the show.
So, key messages here to the Kylie fan community is maybe hold your fire until you've seen the show. That might be number
Definitely.
one.
Yeah.
Particularly that fan. There's one comment that stood out for me, really stuck in my craw, as they say, when he said, "If she dares to bring that to the United States, she'll never have a fan over here again." I
They're
know,
wrong.
I know. Really stuck there. It's like the Americans, they want big and flamboyant, apparently, according to this one person. And then the message number B is, if you are going to be critical of a show, that's okay, because especially this show, we're not entirely positive about Kylie, because unlike other podcasts, we don't exist to try to get all the special guests on. So we tell the truth here. But yeah, if you're going to be critical, it's fine, but just don't take it so personal and really, like you're saying, like have a shot at Kylie's art and what she's trying to do. It's cruel almost.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's cruel, and again, exposing her to like a former like coworker, right? None of this is fine, right?
Yeah.
Put yourself. Let's again, put yourself on her place here. You know what I'm saying? It's
I
not.
do.
That's not kind. That's not kind at all.
So, Rodrigo, where are you seeing Kylie? She's touring all over the world, as the Lights, Camera, Action video showed us. There was a whole map there. Where are you catching Kylie's attention to her?
Yeah, Austin, Texas. I'm super excited to be, there. She's doing a show. What is the name of their arena again? I think it's the Moody Center. That's how they're calling it now. But I'm
Is
super
it rude of
excited.
me to say that I just can't imagine a Texas audience for Kylie? Is that it? Just doesn't add up in my head. Like, I'm sure it's going to be a great show, but does it surprise you she's coming to Texas?
I don't think so. I think it would surprise me if she was kind of like doing concerts in every big Texas city, which is not the case. I think she was really smart on like just scheduling one night in this central area in
Yep.
Austin. Because the gay community in Dallas is huge, and I think to be quite fair, the majority of the fans that will go to a Kylie concert here, they will be, from the gay community. But to be honest, I mean, I think again, I think she was really smart on scheduling like one big show, centralized, that can bring people from Houston, Dallas, of course, Austin. So it doesn't surprise me. But I remember when I lived in Brazil, that when I saw her traveling with, I don't remember, I think with Aphrodite Live, it surprised me a lot that she made Texas a spot. But not anymore. She grew here. She definitely
Yeah.
like grew her audience here, and she was really smart on having that centralized concert in Texas.
Well, mate, it's been a pleasure talking to you. As I say, you are an amazing Kylie fan, so knowledgeable, so supportive, and I like the fact that you are interested in hearing other opinions. But clearly, in this case, there's a line just being crossed, and I'm glad you called it out. I loved reading your post. Quite a few people sent it to me, and I said, "Yeah, I'm reaching out to him. I promise." Because a few people said, "Can you talk to him?" So I'm really glad that we got to do this, Rodrigo, and I want you to come back on and tell us what the Texas show was like. Is that possible?
It's definitely possible. Definitely report back. And again, the message is like, just put yourself in her place. Like just understand that like you wouldn't enjoy being trashed all over the internet for something that like it's not even real, right? Because the concert is doing amazing. So think about that, people. That's it.